I've decided we're going to skip the select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic. We're going to skip their announcement that they've got State Department documents saying that China was connected to covering up the Wuhan lab. I want to research that a little bit more before we talk about that. So we're going to move on instead. So I'll try to get that one in tomorrow's show as I do a little bit more deep dive into that. So I'm going to move on to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. having brain worms. This is what the New York Times, this is their bombshell story. They're coming out and they're doing this. You'll see why they came out with this report. They're trying to say, look, you might be worried about Joe Biden's cognitive, well-being, but Kennedy has a brain worm, or he had brain worms that ate part of his brain. Here it says in 2010, well, here's the headline. RFK Jr. says doctors found a dead worm in his brain. The presidential candidate has faced previously undisclosed health issues, including a parasite that he said ate part of his brain. In 2010, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was experiencing memory loss and mental fogginess so severe that a friend grew concerned he might have a brain tumor. So they start off with that. Why do they start off with that? To make you realize, it's not just Joe Biden, it's Kennedy too. Mr. Kennedy said he consulted several of the country's top neurologists, many of whom had either treated or spoken to his uncle, Senator Edward Kennedy, before his death the previous year of brain cancer. Several doctors noticed a dark spot on the younger Mr. Kennedy's brain scans and concluded that he had a tumor, he said in a 2012 deposition reviewed by the New York Times. Mr. Kennedy was immediately scheduled for a procedure at Duke University Medical Center by the same surgeon who had operated on his uncle. While packing for the trip, he said he received a call from a doctor at New York Presbyterian Hospital who had a different opinion. Mr. Kennedy, he believed, had a dead parasite in his head. The doctor believed that the abnormality seen on his scans was caused by a worm that had gotten into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died, Mr. Kennedy said in the deposition. Now, an independent presidential candidate, the 70-year-old Mr. Kennedy has portrayed his athleticism and relative youth as an advantage over the two oldest people to ever seek the White House, President Biden, 81, and former President Donald J. Trump, 77. Mr. Kennedy has secured a place on the ballots in Utah, Michigan, Hawaii, and his campaign says California and Delaware. His intensive efforts to gain access in more states could put him in a position to tip the election. He has gone to lengths to appear hale, skiing with a professional snowboarder and with an Olympic gold medalist who called him a ripper as they raced down the mountain. A camera crew was at his side while he lifted weights shirtless at an outdoor gym in Venice Beach. So they're trying to say, but don't you be fooled by his athleticism and how in shape he is and how fit he is. This guy has a brain worm. So he's going to have brain issues, just like Joe Biden. So if you're using that against Joe Biden, don't you? Because Kennedy could have the same problems. So still over the years, he has faced serious health issues, some previously undisclosed, including the apparent parasite. For decades, Mr. Kennedy suffered from atrial fibrillation, so AFib, which is common, and they even say it's a common heartbeat abnormality that increases the risk of stroke or heart failure. He's been hospitalized at least 4 times for episodes, although in an interview with The Times this winter, he said he has not had an incident in more than a decade and believed the condition had disappeared. Or perhaps he got an ablation and it took care of it. It's a simple procedure to get rid of AFib. About the same time he learned of the parasite, he said he was also diagnosed with mercury poisoning, most likely from ingesting too much fish containing the dangerous heavy metal, which can cause serious neurological issues. So the guy ate too much sushi. I have cognitive problems, clearly, he said in the 2012 deposition. I have short-term memory loss and I have a longer-term memory loss that affects me. In the interview with The Times, he said he has recovered from the memory loss and fogginess, and he has no after effects from the parasite, which he said had not required treatment. Asked last week if any of Mr. Kennedy's health issues could compromise his fitness for the presidency, Stephanie Spear, a spokeswoman for the Kennedy campaign, told The Times, that is a hilarious suggestion given the competition. The campaign declined to provide his medical records to The Times. Neither President Biden nor Mr. Trump has released medical records in this election cycle. However, the White House put out a 6-page health summary for President Biden in February. Mr. Trump released a 3-paragraph statement from his doctor in November. On Wednesday afternoon, hours after this article was published, Mr. Kennedy posted a comment on his X profile. I offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate, the post read. I feel confident in the result, even with a 6-worm handicap. Oh my gosh. I mean, This is just stupid. This is just stupid. Saying, oh, the guy's not as good as health as he seems because he had brain worms at one point. I mean, they are just really trying anything and everything. And, you guys know that I have lost a lot of respect and hope for RFK Jr. I had a lot of hope for RFK Jr., a lot of respect for RFK. I still respect him in many ways. I just do not agree at all with his stance when it comes to the Palestinians and Israel and his relationship with Shmuley and his times on Epstein's plane. And then there was this weird thing where Kevin Spacey came out the other day and said that when everybody had turned against him, now remember Kevin Spacey was accused of sexually inappropriate or even assault with younger men. There's been numerous stories in Hollywood about Kevin Spacey, and he came out saying that when everyone turned away from him, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. leaned in during his time of need. Not really the endorsement you'd want, especially considering Shmuley and the weirdness with him and his daughter and the sex stuff and Epstein and that stuff. And not exactly, but what I will say about Kennedy is that though the other candidates are talking a lot more, I think he did do a lot of talking about Israel for a while there. He was hot on the train. This was before October 7th, and he was doing the rallies with Shmuley and talking about Israel. And then October 7th happened, and he continued to defend Israel, and he went on Breaking Points even and talked to Crystal and Sagar, where he said that the Palestinians were the most pampered group of people in history of people, which is obscene and obscene. It's obscene to say that, obscene. When we see images of dead children, I don't think that's any group that's pampered at all, especially for somebody who runs Children's Health Defense. It doesn't make any sense. But I will say he's laid off, and he hasn't talked really much about Israel at all when the other candidates are talking ad nauseum about it. Of course, Biden has to. And Trump has been saying a lot of stuff. Kennedy seems to have just shied away from the subject altogether, probably for the better. Maybe he's changing his mind. I would love to find out that he's just said, I've changed my mind. Changed my mind. I've seen now. I've opened my eyes. This is not a situation that can continue between the Israelis and the Palestinians. We need peace between the two groups. And the only way for that is to not massacre each other. That is the way. And it's in particular, it's the Israelis who have all the power to massacre the Palestinians, not the other way around. I would just love to see that. I do want to play for you a bit of this video. This is from his campaign put this video out, and it's narrated by Woody Harrelson, and it was actually censored by Facebook. They took it down. For what reason? Oh, they say COVID misinformation, of course, because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is still misinforming people about COVID, even though now we know that everything he said was true about COVID. I want to play just the beginning part of this and kind of show you a little bit of it, because it's just him reading off these headlines of them, similar stupid headlines like this New York Times. RFK Jr. says doctors found a dead worm in his brain.
He is nuts and clearly disturbed. The Standard. He's angry. Vanity Fair. His own family hates him. The New York Post. He sounds like he's transmitting from another galaxy. He is so crazy. The New York Post. Kennedy is a humorless bully living in a paranoid fantasy. Vanity Fair. What the is wrong with Bobby Kennedy? Okay. He's a walking, talking conspiracy theory, the New York Times. He's completely divorced from reality, The Guardian. He is vile, the White House. Being with him was the low point of my summer, Vanity Fair. Bobby Kennedy speaks with a croaking, rasping, painful-sounding voice. His vague explanation is that it's a virus, but more likely it is a crack pipe voice, The Standard. Kennedy is a crank, the New York Times. He is a crank, the New York Times. He's a crank who cranks out whoppers the way Taylor Swift disgorges perfect pop songs, the New York Times. He has conversations with dead people, The Guardian. I wouldn't vote for that guy either.
Okay, so
you're most likely going to have three choices from.
He's got this ad, and it's a 30-minute video. It was censored briefly by Meta from both of their platforms, Facebook and Instagram. The Kennedy campaign then said that they were going to go and sue Meta. They might have already, I don't know if they filed that lawsuit or not, but they said that they were going to sue them for the censorship. Meta then came out and said, oh, wait a minute. It was a mistake. Your link was accidentally flagged as spam, which they cannot do that. I mean, this is a presidential candidate. People need to have choices, whether you like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or not, and you're going to vote for him or not. You might hate the guy, but it doesn't matter. You still have the right to know your options as an American voter. You have the right to know your options. Kennedy's an option. You should know everything that he has to say, everything that he stands for. And there absolutely should be a debate between him, Biden, and Trump, especially if Kennedy gets on the ballot in all of the states, which it's looking like he's going to. This is going to be probably, as much as I'm very disappointed, can't say that enough, this will be probably the most successful third-party campaign we've ever seen. And that alone is promising. Look, the choices suck, right? Between the three when it comes to when it comes to Israel. And it matters because Israel puts us in so many conflicts. And we're potentially going to go into a conflict with Iran. And we got all of these conflicts going on in the Middle East. It's just endless wars. And a lot of it is beside this, next to Israel or with Israel or at the behest of Israel. I'm not really sure. But that is the first thing I would expect an anti-war candidate in particular to be skeptical of. And then I would expect somebody who is all about children and health and their defense. I would expect them to defend children that are being slaughtered by a supposed ally indiscriminately with dumb bombs. But nonetheless, the options suck, and I don't know. Maybe Kennedy sucks less. I mean, all three of them suck when it comes to Israel, but maybe I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think? I mean, what are you going to do this November when it's time to vote? I do like the disrupting of the three parties. I'm not saying who I'm not indicating anything at this point. I'm just saying that I do like the spoiler, not the spoiler, the real spoiler. He might actually truly disrupt the two-party system and truly cause a collapse of that. And that I am for, even though I'm against his stances. But then when I look at the alternatives, I'm like, what's the difference? I don't know. It's a tough one. But and the fact that they just keep going after him and saying these stupid things like he has brain worms, it's just when the mainstream media is going after him like that. Interesting. Love to hear your thoughts. Email me, kim@kimiverson.com. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you could catch just by heading to that link down below, kimiversonshow.com. You can watch the full show from what you just watched, or you could catch the full show live Monday through Friday, live streams, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at kimiversonshow.com. See you then. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Never miss a clip. Never miss a segment. Thanks, guys.